Hi, and welcome to another episode of Eyes Wide Open. To finish off the thought we talked about and we introduced in the last episode about how the belief in Mashiach and the obligation to yearn for Mashiach influences how we behave. We see this idea in the story of Jacob, our forefather Jacob, who we've talked about a bit in the past few episodes. When he meets Pharaoh for the first time, Pharaoh quite rudely asks him, "How old are you?" And there's a few commentaries that explain what Pharaoh was asking. And one of them is that Jacob looked old. Jacob looked ancient, and he was worn down from the struggles of life. He had a very challenging life. And people already by that time weren't living the long lives that we see at the beginning of Genesis. And in walks into Pharaoh's throne room a man who literally looks ancient, and he was surprised. He said, "How old are you? You look like you're 200-300 years old." And so Jacob tells him, "That's not true. I've had a very, very challenging life. My life has been short. My life has been bitter. My life has been hard. And if you're seeing age in me, you're not seeing an age of quantity of years. You're seeing age of quality of years. My life has literally aged me." That was what Jacob, according to many commentaries, that's what Jacob was expressing to Pharaoh. But the question remains, it's a very negative message for Jacob, one of the three forefathers, and the Talmud calls him the greatest of the forefathers, to pass along to Pharaoh, a king, perhaps the most powerful king around. You would think he would pass him on something a little bit more inspiring. And so the Rebbe answers that there was a very fascinating conversation going on behind the scenes, and that Jacob was responding to. Here was Jacob being brought into Egypt, discovering that his son, his long-lost son Joseph, who he hasn't seen in so long, is now the second most powerful person in all of Egypt, and that everything is going to be taken care of. Joseph is going to take care of them. They're going to get their own place to live in Egypt. They'll get to be farmers. They'll get to be secluded. Everything will be taken care of. And Pharaoh, seeing Jacob and seeing Jacob recognizes, expresses to him behind the scenes and between the lines, "Isn't this everything? Isn't this life?" And Jacob says back to him, "No." He says, "My life is short and bitter." So Jacob says to Pharaoh, "I live for Mashiach, and you can't distract me with anything that isn't Mashiach. You could bring me to Egypt and give me the best part of Egypt to live in, and it doesn't mean anything to me. My life remains empty. My life remains missing the key thing. Then the key thing is Mashiach." And this message Jacob imparts to Pharaoh and imparts to the entire Jewish people, that no matter what we're living with, and no matter what we have accomplished, and no matter what we have, if we're missing Mashiach, we're missing everything, and we have more work to do.